Cool. So I suppose for our final topic then, how do you get the best, I suppose, job offer process? Because you've had the interviews, you like someone, you want them to go ahead. How do you successfully go through the process of submitting an offer and negotiating it, and then onboarding people in the right way? So there's obviously two parts, I think, to that question. But starting on the
Yeah,
offer process, how do you do that well?
how to do it well. Start with a verbal offer, appropriate offer to be delivered to the candidate, so that they can mull it over. A lot of the time, that the first offer isn't the final offer, so
Mm.
there's always a bit of room for negotiation. There's really no need to put things down in writing if there's going to be a bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, how to deliver that offer well? Well, don't just give them the figure. Give them the reasons why they've been offered the job. Talk
Yeah.
about their strengths. Talk about what stood out. Talk about where the client thinks that candidate is going to fit into the business, and why they think they're going to be good, and where they can progress, and deliver the offer. And when I say offer, it's the base, a reminder of the overall package, the earning potential, the benefits, pension scheme, holiday,
Yeah.
if there's private healthcare, insurance, a company car or car allowance. But then also talk about the upside and the progression. Don't just give them the offer. Have a conversation. Again, this is your final opportunity to sell the business. Complacency is something that drops deals out all the way through the process. And we've talked quite a lot today about, in the interview, or writing the job description and in the interviews, but it doesn't stop during offer stage. You're still presenting yourself. You're still the window to that company.
Yeah.
Um,
And you don't want
and
to get
then
that wrong and have to go right back to the start of the process again.
exactly, yeah. I think the candidate wants to know what the offer is, of course, but also to know that they've been heard.
Yeah.
You know, and finally, very swiftly follow up with the writing,
Yeah.
and follow up with a contract. That a written offer won't always be the employment contract. The written
Yeah.
offer may just be a follow up to the verbal offer
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the top line, and then the contract is to follow. Again, as recruiters, a huge source of frustration for us is, okay, we're going to make this candidate an offer. Fantastic, great. Okay, when's the paperwork coming out? That can take weeks, worst case.
Yeah.
And in the current market, we're constantly trying to push our clients to be agile,
Yeah. Yeah.
because agility is key now in the talent short market. And you can lose candidates just by being too slow to get the contract out. That's the harsh reality of it. Um,
And that delay then is, as you say, is the cost. I think you mentioned this at the beginning. Is the cost of having to go back through the process again, and then missing out on opportunities because you haven't got the person in place in time. And
It is
yeah.
precisely, yeah. I mentioned earlier, sometimes our clients recruit for a role without actually having it signed off. So, a horror story for us is, well, we've taken a candidate all the way through the process, and then it gets to offer stage, and the client actually hasn't got the role signed off. Therefore, they need a signature from an executive,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
they say no.
Yeah. That's painful for everyone.
Really painful. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody loses there. So, agility is key. Sign off is key. Doing it in a compliant way through the right channels, but always demonstrating to that candidate, even at the offer stage, what a great opportunity it can be for them.
And as a candidate, are there things that you can do to negotiate if you're not quite happy with the offer that's been presented? Are there ways that you can communicate that better to reach a middle ground? Because I suppose there
Yeah,
could be the fear of you don't want to say the wrong
talk
thing, and
yourself
then,
out of the job.
well, one, talk yourself out of it, and two, potentially, if you present it in the wrong way, put a sour taste in someone's mouth, and then they get put off. Yeah, well, I suppose talk yourself out of it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
put someone off
definitely. I
giving the
mean,
offer.
it's risk and reward, isn't it? If you want to negotiate your position, and you want to do it firmly and
Mm.
remove emotion from the conversation, that's acceptable. But there's a point though where, if you go beyond that point, yes, you might leave a sour taste in someone's mouth, or create an atmosphere when you join, and have you don't want the client to question your morals and your values and your aspirations because you've tried to negotiate too strongly, and
Mm.
therefore you've kind of lost sight of the reason why you're joining in the first place, which should never be about money.
Yeah.
Money should be appropriate. It should be in line with your expectations, but it shouldn't be the reason you're joining a company. Because I think if that's the reason, well, it's really never going to pan out to retaining that candidate into the role.
No.
I
No.
think that's probably quite a simplistic approach that everyone would agree on. Also,
Yeah. Money keeps you engaged to a very certain level, and then after that, if you're not happy with the working environment, the culture, everything else, then it's not going
that's
to
it.
work.
It's Maslow's basic hierarchy of needs, isn't it?
That's the one.
You need to pay someone fairly and appropriately for their work,
Yeah.
and yes, they can be motivated by money, but actually in the end it's self-realization and being a part of something great that's going to take people to the next level.
Perfect. And then my final question then on this is the onboarding aspect. So, are there things that people can do to have a much more effective onboarding process that sets the tone for, um, a good working relationship with someone, or are there things that
Yeah.
that people get wrong very often? That how important is the branded pen and notebook when you turn up, or is it about other aspects around it?
Yeah, I mean, branded pens are always nice, but probably not the be all and end all. To be fair, I mean, I use Deverell Smith as an example. I joined
Mm.
6 months ago, and part of the reason I love it here was my induction. And what does that look like? Lots of faces, lots of people, communication, structure, um, constant feedback. You know, the right atmosphere, a welcoming environment, people going out of their way to talk to you. I think that probably the saddest thing about a person joining a business and it not working out is if they came away thinking that they felt excluded from the
Mm.
culture. There may be a good culture at that business, but if the candidate didn't feel it, it's a missed opportunity. So
Yeah.
I think having a really good structure around what that candidate is doing day one, week three, week five, review. 3 months in, 6 months in, review, constant review and feedback, provided it's constructive, of course, and setting some goals and some key outcomes rather than just focusing on the input. As long as you can, demonstrate that move towards the outcomes, I think
Yeah.
that's quite a holistic view of a positive induction. And the little things, well done on a small win, and take the new starter out to lunch and
Yeah.
introduce them to the team and making them, feel that connectivity throughout the business, are all really critical things. And that could be a small business or it could be a very large one. I think it's just as important to feel connectivity with your new employer.
I think that's a very good point. Is the feedback, and it's if you, and yes, obviously, making people feel welcome and introducing them, but the feedback aspect, if you have no idea how you're getting on relative to what people might be expecting of you, you're sat there in constant uncertainty, and that doesn't make you feel comfortable
No.
until you get that well done, or this is great, but actually this is the bit we need to work on. You
Yeah.
just sat there in limbo the whole time.
Yeah, you might be in a really high pressure job. It might be a
Mm.
difficult job, but if you've got, high touch, high care management team and peer network around you, then really you're going to be driving the right type of performance and output and productivity.
Yeah.
If it's not as high pressure and it's not as stressful, that doesn't mean all of those things aren't really important. It's just something that needs to be done. And yeah, a branded pen on top also helps. And the perks and the benefits and the
Yeah.
company culture. If you've got a yearly company retreat or something else like that, those are all great things. But just like we talk about the benefits, like perk box, you need to have everything else in order for someone to go, oh, hey, great, we've got a perk box or we've got an annual retreat.
Yeah.
Those are the cherries on top. That's going to get you to the final hurdle. But we really need to get the structure right at the beginning, which is the feedback, setting expectations, connectivity.
I think there's been a nice theme there actually through the different topics we've discussed, which is there's preparation, understanding at every stage what you want out of it, and then communication and being clear at all stages as to what to expect, what's going on, feedback on that,
Yeah,
So I
for
think
sure.
I think that ties nicely through the process. Is there anything else you'd like to add around the recruitment process before we finish up?
Well, I guess, if there's any clients who are wanting some advice on their structure and process of recruiting, then our door's open.
Perfect.
Feel free to get in contact.
I was going to ask
Um,
around that. How do people get in touch if they do want to reach out to you?
well, you can email us, you can call us. If you come onto our website, there's easily accessible contact details, as well as a breakdown of the sectors that we cover. We cover the entire life cycle of real estate, from investment all the way through to development, construction, new home sales. We do executive roles all the way down to sort of contingent, junior to mid-level, and back office functions, executive functions. So we are really pointed at a wide space in the market, and our client base consists of client-side development firms, investment vehicles, but also consultancy, practice, advisory, major house builders, estate agency. So yeah, I guess get in contact, have a look at our website, and give us a call.
Perfect. Lovely. Thanks for coming on and sharing your insight, and hopefully we'll catch up again in a few months and look at sort of how the market's changed and have a discussion around that.
Thanks, Matt. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.